My pop is on the implementation of John Hattie's high impact strategies in the classroom at our elementary school, at Southside Elementary. And so this first bar graph, it's difficult to see the colors on there the way it is, but what that shows, the bar on the left shows how many times I gave feedback via a little check sheet of John Hattie's strategies to teachers, not just checking the boxes, but also naming their practice for them. So if it said teacher clarity, which is a 0.73, I would mark on there student-generated learning target, clarity on goals for today, and success criteria, just so they know what that means. And on the right is the bar that shows how many high impact strategies I saw when I was around in classrooms. So for example, on the first one, it's 24 visits, and 22 of the 24 visits were high impact strategies were visible in that classroom. And feedback was given. Feedback is also given in those two situations that there's a box that says none, so the teachers know if, you know, sometimes I'll show up during a transition or something and I don't see a high impact strategy, I'll mark that and give that to them as well. So that's just my actions there, how many times I was in classrooms. And you can see in you know, the course of the year that it varies depending on other things that are on our plates. And you know, the highest this year was in the 30s, and the lowest was 10 visits. So a little bit more variety there than, or I'm sorry, April was 9 visits. So the next slide shows the student data in relationship to the visits. And the red bar there, again, is the how many visits were made that month. And then the orange bar is math and reading summatives combined for that unit of study. And so the percent on there is the percent of students that were proficient. On the green, this is where it gets a little bit confusing for listeners. I mean, I understand what it is because I've been doing it. But the green bar in our data team process, we ask the teachers to select a standard of focus so that we're not talking about a lot of standards and we're not talking about a new one every week. So while they're within a unit, they'll pick one standard in that unit that they want to focus their data team process on. It is usually the biggest standard, the most difficult, the most complex. And so you'll see what they do after they give the assessment is they disaggregate the standards, and then the green bar is showing the percent proficient on that actual standard. So again, the orange is the overall proficiency for the summative, and the green is the that more challenging standard that we've been focusing our practice on. So obviously you would like, what I'm hoping to see in my POP was that as my visits, if I had more visits, more feedback, that achievement would be positively affected. And as you can see, as in any research study, sometimes we get results that we weren't looking for, and so we kind of have a flat line of achievement, and it doesn't seem to be responding to like the months when I was in 30 plus times. The achievement doesn't really show a big difference there. And because this is intertwined in our data team process as well, there's just not a lot of variance in the students' summative data. You can see on some units that power standard of focus, there was some impact where we did see, like on Unit 5, actually that more difficult standard, actually 48% of students were proficient on that particular standard versus 45% for the complete test. It's sort of disheartening, I guess, after you put in a lot of work hoping. But like with any research study, you know, back in when we were little kids, we put one plant in the closet, one plant on the windowsill, and sometimes the one in the closet did great, you know. So sometimes things don't turn out quite the way that we anticipated them, that we predicted they might in the beginning. So with my data and really not seeing much impact, my next slide and my final slide is just about next steps for me and our school in thinking about really continuing to investigate student achievement at Southside and what are the barriers. I see teachers using great practice every day. We have good communication, but the retention on a summative is consistently not there for our students. So what I really want to do is to start to use some of our visible learning work and start to look at increasing student voice and engagement. Because our formatives are sometimes telling a different story than our summatives. So I'm wondering if kids are holding on to the learning in a meaningful way and being able to produce it when stamina is required on a longer assessment. and looking more at student work rather than teacher practice. And that's funny for me to say because I love teacher practice. It's something my entire career I've really focused on that, and I love it. But I think when we look at the work that kids do, it helps us to really look at what the learning is happening, because I see teachers teaching their brains out and I see kids not showing progress. So I think looking at the work is the next step for us, and articulating and personalizing core instruction, increase engagement, and then meaningful application of core instruction in a project-based setting for us for next year, just to grow that proficiency. So I think the work with our Hattie strategies has been great. The conversation's been good with teachers. They've internalized those strategies and helped to redefine best practice for them. But it isn't translating like we had wanted it to our student achievement. So kind of starting to look at other pieces there.